President Trump heard that you discussed Ukraine and found a willingness to amend the 28-point plan, taking into account the concerns raised by Europeans and the G7.
Yes, I found willingness from the President of the United States. We also had a fairly long phone call with the President of Finland, Alexander Stubb. I found availability, and the work our Sherpas are doing today in Geneva follows this understanding. Taking a half step back, we have all worked for peace from the beginning of this conflict, as Europeans and as Americans, supporting Ukraine in its ability to resist a conflict whose outcome many considered taken for granted. So, taken for granted it was not. We built, on the ground, the deterrence that today allows us to talk about peace. I think we must claim it, because it is work that we have all done together. Today's meeting is still underway, so I do not know the final outcome. In the U.S. plan, as you know, there are points that need discussion: territories, reconstruction funding, and the Ukrainian army. But there are also many positive elements, especially on security guarantees, where the United States has put in black and white direct involvement in a model inspired by Article 5, an idea originally proposed by Italy. But, in short, I think positive work can be done, and we are all committed to arriving at a proposal that can be as close as possible not so much to our wishes, but to what is needed to have peace, to have an independent and sovereign Ukraine, and to have security for Europe as well. First of all, I don't think that's the goal. Clearly not. That's not what I see in the sense that you have witnessed. I have witnessed all the times when the Ukrainians have clearly thanked me in the United States. As for the rest, look, it's endemic, in the sense that the need to continue working with our U.S. allies also obviously stems from the importance of their role. If one were ungrateful to them, there would probably not even be a need for them, in the sense that one would not understand their importance in the conflict. Instead, everyone understands it, and they understand it very well as on the issue of Europe continuing to buy gas from Russia. For example, I explained to the President of the United States that, for example, Italy, since the beginning of the war, has done a huge job. At the time, our dependence was certainly significant. So maybe, let's say, something of what happened afterward didn't come across in the communication, but we, for example, have totally diversified, as you know very well, and we are no longer dependent on Russia at all. So Europe has done, from this point of view, very important work. But I think yes, certainly, some of the things that are said serve, in the end, to generate a kind of pressure on interlocutors. But it seems to me that you do a little bit here, a little bit there. In short, the method, a little bit of work here, a little bit there. We know. In some cases, it has even been effective, as we have seen in the Middle East. After that, the real point, I repeat, in my opinion, is not the press statements. The real point is what eventually ends up in black and white, what is in the proposal with which Europeans, Ukrainians, Americans decide to come to the table with the Russians. On the European partners, I think it was clear from the communiqué that was made yesterday, we consider it a starting point, and we are ready to work to improve the proposal. This was in a meeting in which all the European leaders present at the G20 were participating, plus our G7 partners, so broader, and it seems to me that we are all in line. As for pressure, we don't have a deadline, in the sense that we work by priority. As I said, we are working for a 1/12 aid package, and for now, we are not adhering. In the future, we will see, but we have not, and have not given ourselves deadlines on the issue of corruption. Clearly, it is of concern. It also affects public opinion, which, rightly, is very sensitive. I want to say that I consider it important that Ukraine has shown that it has the antibodies. In the end, we must always remember that these arrests come on the basis of initiatives by Ukrainian institutions. So there's probably a problem, but there are also antibodies to deal with that problem. The Deputy Prime Minister, Salvini, is saying something correct, that Italian money cannot go into the hands of corrupt people. And of course, we must be vigilant to prevent that. But again, it seems to me that the Ukrainian government has shown that its institutions have full will to fight any corruption phenomenon, something all the more serious, since they have people who are dying at the front.
$25 करोड़ गरीब गरीबी को परास्त करके बाहर निकले।
For the good of our nation, let's work together and let's truly make America great again.
The fastest news breaks.
Requested PM saying that we will have to speak to Putin and to Zelensky.
The biggest news makers.
The relationship with India is probably the most important bilateral relationship the U.S. will have for the rest of this century.
The capital delivered quite an election result today.
Expert analysis.
The million-dollar question today is how to stop this dance of death.
Ground reports.
I'm standing at the crossroad of the Kumbh Mela. Behind me are more than 100 entry ghats.
Long-form interviews.
Exclusionary politics is reflected in Manipur case as well. You don't bother because this is a small state.
Deep dive into burning issues.
It's often said DRC could be the richest country in the whole world. It's because of what sits underneath.
Why exactly did the US topple the Sheikh Hasina government?
HT videos. We don't just break news, we break it down.